I saw an article today on how Bumble recently made a 180 and is allowing the option for men to message first. It made me think about all the complaints men usually have about the flaws of dating apps. I'm curious to know what things men feel like would fix some of the issues they experience. As a side note, I'm also curious how well Grindr works. I'm not sure if it's for LGBTQ folk in general or only men, but I imagine the men's side of that app has some smart ideas. As a disclaimer, I'm not a developer or anything, just a curious gal. Story 1. Remove swiping and have a decent search feature. OkCupid was solid back in the day for this. The match percentage was very unscientific, but it was something that helped you actually look for compatible people. It made empty profiles with just a picture obvious bots or scammers. Allowing a message without an initial match allows men to make an intelligent approach and be noticed for something beyond a couple of pictures and a paragraph. Story 2. Other than ensuring there's a roughly equal number of active male and female users, I don't think it's possible. Bottom line is women just don't seem to find men attractive at a distance unless there's something exceptional about him just from profile pictures. I just hate having to do a whole song and dance to impress women on dating apps or get totally ignored, especially when I don't even know if I really like her that much. Feels degrading. Even though I know the other person was interested enough to swipe right on me, I still feel like it's cold call sales. Story 3. Sad to hear what Bumble has become. That's how I met my wife. But they had a good idea in making women reach out first if they were interested and, in a way, gauge their conversational prowess. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times I matched with a woman who had, say more than hey on your first message, only to match with them and get one-word replies. It irritates the life out of me. But without getting too deep, I would add those features with a scientific compatibility measure. Let's say you match with a woman. Both of you have 3 strikes when it comes to back-to-back one-word responses. For example, person 1, how are you today? Person 2, fine, strike 1. Person 1, what are you up to today? Person 2, nothing, strike 2. Person 1, what's your favorite type of food? Person 2, Italian, strike 3. At this point, the app will say something like, this person does not seem interested. Unmatch. A rough concept, but it's a start. The other would be banning advertising for your OnlyFans, premium Snapchat, etc. from the start. Story 4. I saw an article today on how Bumble recently made a 180-degree change and is allowing the option for men to message first. That's infuriating. The whole women have to initiate is why I use the app in the first place. Story 5. That is unfortunate. I liked using Bumble for the exact reason that the women had to message to actually activate the chat. It was not really about the messaging first, it was about the fact that if she even puts effort into activating the conversation, then I at least know there is a bit of a chance for me. Some matches that I got on Bumble did not even bother to activate a conversation even though they swiped on me too, which I would assume means they are somewhat interested. Personally, I think the best feature would be if each text had a decent word count minimum. It forces each person to at least form a sentence and actually give effort in their responses. Story 6. I don't think there's really any way to do that. The nature of the dating market just doesn't translate favorably to an application for a lot of guys. The reason Grindr is a totally different landscape is that it's men for men, not because the application is special. A major factor is attraction style. For women, attraction tends to be a contextual thing. There's a lot of factors beyond simple looks in what clicks. It's why you get those studies where, if they just show a bunch of pictures, men rate more women as attractive than women do men. It's because it doesn't have the context. Unless you're exceptionally attractive to override that lack or you manage to build a profile that conveys that context very quickly, which is difficult, and some forms of it will simply never come through in that medium, you just don't hook as hard on screen. The other thing is just the risk profile and desire for casual encounters. Women have a different calculus on going out with or hooking up with a random person than men do, and it makes the whole thing less appealing for them. So you're going to wind up with an application that is disproportionately made up of men because the casual application is going to be more appealing to them, and so are the potential partners on there on average. That's going to warp things even more. It just doesn't work the same as in person and never will. Story 7. Bumble proved that most women refuse to initiate conversation. Unless you can change society, this will never change. An algorithm that can figure out why I swiped on who I swiped would be nice. Every time there's a based on who you liked suggestion, they are always nothing like the women I've liked. Story 8. Remove swiping and instead bring in search. Lose the algorithms that prioritize the profiles of men who receive the most attention. Level the playing field, at least from the developer side. Introduce a flagging mechanism for individuals seeking financial gain or promoting other platforms. Introduce an upload screenshots mechanism to prove the above and implement artificial intelligence face identification to ban those individuals from the app permanently. People you ghost will automatically be hidden from you forever. Limit matching to no more than 5 people at once. These are a few ideas that come to mind. Story 9. In a hypothetical world where we reset the clock to the 2010s, we could undo much of the baggage that already exists. Let people see who matches with them. Give both men and women a hard limit on how many people they can talk to and match with. After you've connected with 5 or 6 people, you either have to drop them to get back in rotation or talk to those few people. Maybe penalize frequent droppers in some way. If you pick 6 people and you don't want to talk to any of them, then you're not using the space correctly. Women have issues making choices. Guys have issues being seen. Cut down on the bloat women get, and you'll have a better time. Likewise, reporting should have more far-reaching consequences. Ban the IP address of users who send unsolicited pictures, say disturbing things, and so on. People should feel safe enough to engage with one another. No paid content. Everyone is seen in relation to how active they are on the app. People who are online see other people who are online. That way, when you match with someone, you don't find out a day and a half later when you check your notifications, but in the moment. It's not hard to make a good app. They've turned meeting other people into a slot machine. Just let people see and talk to each other with as much ease as you possibly can. Story 10. The funny thing about a lot of the responses here is that they reflect what dating sites, when they were websites, not applications, used to be. Specifically, a lot of the features of the original OkCupid, Match.com, and especially, believe it or not, eHarmony minus eHarmony's socially conservative posturing have been mentioned. Lots of people saying let my personality shine, and match based on anything other than pure looks. OkCupid and eHarmony. Lots of actually match based on characteristics in my profile, and not just a swipe fest. OkCupid and eHarmony. Lots of curate the matching experience so that anyone only has a few matches at a time. eHarmony. Lots of allow searching. Story 11. Bumble was great for allowing women to make the first move. When I was dating, I always had the most success there for that very reason. Women constantly get overwhelmed by the number of matches and messages they receive because men are the ones that usually have to make the first move. We basically play the numbers game and swipe on everyone who is not completely unappealing or obviously full of red flags. Then message everyone and see who responds before we even make a decision on whom we want to date or not. That is not really what these things were designed for. Bumble did a lot to curb that and make it more equitable. What they are doing now is just not smart, and it's going to make them a Tinder imitation. Hinge actually does something different. Story 12. I would not. There are no such things as men's nights at bars because men pay anyway. The drink is the bait for women, and the women are the bait for men. Likewise, in my opinion, Bumble got popular not because of the women message first idea empowering women, but because it prevented them from being harassed by disrespectful individuals and inappropriate images. Bumble was safer. You make dating apps for women so you get women on them. If there are women on the apps, the men will follow. Not saying it should be this way, but it definitely is this way. Story 13. Just ask me is a phrase that many attractive women use instead of providing detailed responses. This often frustrated me on dating platforms like Match, especially when it came from those who merely believed they were attractive. My wife and I found each other intriguing because we both made an effort to answer questions thoroughly, using proper spelling and grammar. This level of communication showed thoughtfulness and genuine interest, which was important in building a meaningful connection between us. Paying attention to detail in our responses set the foundation for the strong relationship we have today. Story 14. I don't think it's possible. The reason why online dating doesn't work well for men is that it turns dating into shopping and it commodifies men into a bunch of attributes and nameless faces. That's the whole point of online dating. The convenience and the endless possibilities of men and women to choose from. And that's what causes the paradox of choice. Story 15. My friend was showing me her Hinge just last week. She's an Ivy League graduate, well qualified, and she had hundreds of matches and messages. I was like, how are you single? I have to work on the few matches that I get every now and then. She agrees that men have a small chance of picking what's right for them. I feel like I have to make it work with what I get, and I don't know the solution yet, but the problem is well defined. It's a problem for women too. It felt like my friend was a kid lost in a toy store. Also, sometimes it takes time for people to fully get comfortable and be who they are. I felt like I'm walking on a glass floor a lot of times on first dates. Even George Clooney took quite some time to impress his now wife. We all decide on one 2-hour date, which is not the right approach for a life partner. So how do we decide that this is the person we would like to know? Story 16. It is impossible because, on average, women are more discerning about who they date than men. Even if it were possible, it's not going to happen because these apps rely on men to pay and they flood the apps with fake profiles to entice men into wasting their paid tools on attractive women. That said, there are things you can do to improve the experience. 1. Honestly, an upfront paywall gets rid of a lot of casual individuals and bored attention seekers. A more robust profile system that really highlights all the pertinent details: education level, physical activity level, income level, height, weight, views on sex, children, religion, politics, etc. These things always come out in the first couple of dates anyway, so let's just cut through the nonsense. Offer better matchmaking so that you can filter by people with like-minded interests. You could even get a warning if your standards are too strict, such as, you selected 6-foot-tall men under 190 pounds, making a 6-figure salary. Your criteria meet 0.05% of men on this app. Or warnings if you set off common red flags. For example, profiles with, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, are flagged by 75% of users. Remove inactive and bot profiles. Require somewhat professional headshots as the profile picture, and block any individual who tries to use a group shot as the profile picture. Story 17. It's not an issue specifically for men, but I do find swiping very inefficient. I tend to only be attracted to certain types of women, and it's not the beach-going, wine-sipping type that I have to swipe through 100 times before the algorithm eventually figures out that I like more alternative kinds of women and starts showing me less of the former and more of the latter. Story 18. It's time we, as a culture, start to be honest about this reality. There is no such thing as a dating application. There are plenty of companies perpetrating a scam on the public by fraudulently claiming to operate a dating application. But these companies have as much credibility and legitimacy as people claiming they just need a little money to secure the release of a prisoner in Spain. There are as many dating applications in the world as there are magic lamps. Story 19. We already had applications that worked great. The problem is they didn't make maximum money for stockholders. People in technology don't actually care about helping users. Story 20. It's not an application problem. It's a gender ratio problem. For every woman on Tinder, Bumble, or similar platforms, there are on average 4 to 5 men. On top of that, women swipe right less often. For every swipe right a woman makes, men make on average 4 swipe rights. So, for every swipe right a woman makes, there are 16 to 20 swipe rights for men. This leads to above-average men struggling to make 4 to 6 matches per week. Of those few matches, the conversation fizzles quickly because the women are overwhelmed with options. A cute girl can literally make over 100 matches in a single day. The only solution is to put a hard limit on men joining the platform to keep the ratio in check, or implement some sort of application process. Story 21. It seems to me that the number one way you could make one in favor of most men is just to reduce how overwhelmed a lot of women seem to be. I don't know how you would go about doing that, but if you did it, women wouldn't be in the position of having to pre-screen 10,000 guys, and the men who might not survive the entire obstacle course would then have a shot. Story 22. Bumble doing that destroys their one selling point, making them lose their brand identity completely. Pretty silly thing to do. If anything, they should have leaned into it, with advertisements being about this being the app for strong independent women who want to take charge of their love life. That would have probably worked better, just lean super into it. Doing this makes it a Tinder clone. A shame. I don't think there's a way to skew it in men's favor, to be honest with you. Maybe something like Omegle with profiles? Like you put in your preferences, tick a few ethnicity boxes, an age range, parenthood status, distance from you, etc., and you click a button and get randomly connected with a woman within those parameters. Have staff monitor things and ban anyone who behaves inappropriately, because of course that'll happen. I think that would be a pretty neat idea. It would pretty much eliminate the catfish problem. People will instantly know if they have a vibe or not, and you can always skip if you don't like them. The main problem, as far as I can tell, would be getting women to want to use it. I feel like if it was like that, women would have more to be attracted to than just a photo. Men can present themselves with their words or personality, their voice, accent, mannerisms, etc. That's my best idea anyway.